I don't think anyone anticipated Envy being so good. I think they're a strong team. They have a pretty good grasp on the meta, and they play a really distinct style. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to our match because I think it'll be really interesting and close.
Having respect isn't the same thing as being scared. I think everybody on the team respects TSM, but we're confident in our ability.
I just think when you're on a winning team as an AD carry, it's really easy to do well. Because they're doing well, Laud looks particularly better than like other ADs, but when I watch his play, he's definitely not very great.
I think he's completely wrong. Sure, like they make me look better, but at times I make them look better too. That's the whole point of being on a team. I think I pretty much match him like mechanically, and I think I could be a better teammate than him too, so I think I have an edge on him.
When I play against Min solo queue, when I play against Min scrims, he's not very good. So I expect that to roll over to stage as well.
Let's go, 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 let's go.
Welcome, League fans, to the final day of competition in Week 4 of the North American LCS. Now, we've got 4 more best-of-3 series for your viewing pleasure this afternoon as our teams compete across 2 streams and 2 stages to test their mettle against the best in North America. Earlier today, you can see Energy arriving at the studio, and they're looking suave as they head into their match. They're going to be going up against Cloud9, who are starting Smoothie in the first game of the day, still going with that support swap. And over in the Battle Theater, we're going to see TSM arrive earlier for their marquee matchup up against Envy. Pyrion and Laud from Team Envy up against that TSM squad today. They're getting in their last-minute warm-ups, preparing for a big one. Thank you, everybody, for watching with us. I'm James Dash Patterson, and joined this afternoon by Mark Zimmerman and Alberto Crumbs Rengifo. So we recruited one more to help us with our slew of matches today.
I saw how well you guys were doing yesterday. I was like, I want to be a part of this.
Thanks.
It
definitely wasn't like, I need to help them. it definitely wasn't.
By the end of the day, we could have used the help. We were
a third body would have nice.
Absolutely. Well, as we move through Week 4, our teams have begun to develop their summer split identity, and we have pretty clear lines between the top, middle, and bottom teams. So let's go ahead and work through those tiers, starting with our top 4.
Yeah, TSM definitely, kind of head and shoulders above the rest right now. They have the aggressive style that you want to see from Immortals, but it's kind of reined back a little bit. They still overstep a little bit, but that's fine. And they have good macro play on top of it. So they're kind of the complete package for now.
I mean, for me, Cloud9 is really the one that I want to see come into fruition and really battle it out with Immortals and TSM. Hopefully they can take a game against them in their next best of 3. But this team, I think they've been very vocal about how much influence Reaper has brought to the team in them becoming better teammates and understanding each other. And, this guy has a big repertoire behind him, and coaches are a big part of the game nowadays. So for somebody to kind of inject that macro game into Cloud9, which is what we know they've been missing for a while, and they're starting to bring it out now, with the high meme, basically.
Right.
Now they have it. And Smoothie and Bunny, when you hear them play, their comms are actually rather good. So I think that this team is just nothing but improvement from here on.
Another thing about C9 too is that they've played a lot of best of 3 actual series. A lot of people are 2-0, and they're getting a lot of 3 games in, and that's something that Reaper's going to be really useful in because he has the ability to influence that series as it goes on. He learns more about what the other team's doing. He can adapt, and so that's really where you see the value of a coach, and especially a good coach, is how well they adapt throughout the series.
Week over week improvement for that squad. Let's jump to that middle bracket of teams. We find Apex, Liquid, CLG. Thoughts on this trio of teams?
Well, I think you can see that they're still struggling. There's each of them have a part of their game where it's like, that's not working quite right. Team Liquid's too aggressive, CLG, sometimes it looks like their old selves, and then sometimes they're just totally disjointed and don't seem to be a cohesive team, which is what one of their strengths were.
Yeah, I was gonna say CLG is the hardest one to diagnose, right? As you mentioned, Team Liquid, we could say sometimes they're just too aggressive, they get behind, they're still too aggressive, and they lose the game even faster. With CLG, each game, it feels like a different element breaks down.
I mean, these teams feel like rock climbing, and then they finally grab onto something, and it just slips, and they got to start back from ground zero again, and they try something new every week. It's like, guys, we're revamped, we got new players, we got a new mindset. They try it again 2 weeks later, it fails, and then they have to start again.
Right.
And it's just not going to be enough progress for them to quickly catch up to the top 4. So unless they actually get a firm hold on what they need to do and keep onto that, I don't see these teams really just taking over and making it into the top 4.
All right, and then we have that bottom set of teams: Energy, Echo Fox, Phoenix One, still looking for their first win.
It's definitely a struggle for these guys. Like where we're saying, the mid-tier teams kind of have one thing or maybe two things not quite working right. There's a slew of things that are not going in these teams' directions. Either it's mechanically they're not playing well, their drafts don't seem great, their macros not on point at all. They're messing up in the 2v1s all the time. It's like a barrage of things that need to be improved on. So
I mean, I don't think it's too early to be thinking about these teams just focusing on not getting relegated.
Right.
Like, it's going to be nearly impossible for them to make it out of here and make it into the playoffs. So I think that these teams should start thinking of just ways of getting themselves ahead of the other teams inside that lower bracket, making sure that they're not in the bottom, and hopefully secure that seventh place spot.
Yep.
So that, you don't have to go in playoffs. You get a big break. You don't get relegated.
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying to think that in week 4, it's about time to start thinking, let's not get relegated instead of let's shoot for playoffs.
It's such a big difference between the skill in some of these teams.
Right, very much
and
so.
best of 3 really, shows that. Whereas, I think one of the interesting comments was like a team like Phoenix One potentially has a couple wins here in the old system, but here in the best of 3, even when they pick up that odd game, it's not enough to really hand them a scoreboard.
Right.
stat,
I mean,
really.
Phoenix One has won 3 games this split. Unfortunately, no series. So in a best-of-1 format, yeah, maybe they would have come out with
They'd be
a
3 and 4.
Yeah, they'd be 3 and 4. But that's the thing; they're not this time around, and that is what the best of 3s give us. Well, coming into our match of the week, both Envy and TSM. Well, they took some knocks yesterday, but we'll come out looking to put up a strong performance today and kind of stab back, as they didn't have great showings yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't think TSM should be struggling versus an Echo Fox, but they were. At the end of the day, their games were not super clean, and Envy kind of got beaten by C9 in a 2-0 that we thought would be much closer. Yeah, so I think both these guys can have something to prove today, and especially Envy going up this is probably like one of the last really difficult stretches in the schedule for them, and they haven't looked great so far.
Well, I think a reason for these kind of upsets that we thought would be either closer games or more one-sided with the TSM Echo Fox have a lot to do with the meta in itself. So we see a lot of addition of Shen, Cassiopeia, these new picks that have come into fruition, as well as the Hecarims that are even getting banned by TSM in some games. And teams aren't very used to this. Before it was all about Irelia and Swain, but now you got to think about Shen. How does Shen interact with the entire map? What about Hecarim, the Olaf? Things that are becoming a little bit more standard. So the teams that were already at the top had a very firm grasp on the meta. And now that it's shifting, clearly they haven't kept that grasp entirely. So it'll just take them a little bit of time to really understand how to play the map right with the current champions available.
All right, well, on to CLG, a team that we've been critical of throughout the split so far. But as they come in today, they're going to face the last place team in Phoenix One. So our expectation, of course, is that they're going to get a win here and that this might be the start of a resurgence for this squad.
Yeah, I think coming into this game, you need to look to just get the win and don't worry about exactly how you're performing. I mean, there's been games like this one where Darshan is just hard carrying, picking up kills all over the map, split pushing. And then there's games that are like the total opposite, where he's just getting picked off in side lanes, having terrible TPs.
Right.
And I think what you just need to do is get a win here. It should be a feel-good win where you head into the week saying, all right, we've got another victory under our belt, and let's just work on improving.
I don't think that a win here is really going to be the signal for us to see a resurgence of CLG.
Right.
I thought so on the other week where they 2-0'd Echo Fox very cleanly. I was like, okay, Echo Fox didn't really try a whole lot, but CLG was very commanding. Their macro game was the same, but then eventually they played against Envy. They played against other teams, and they just dropped the ball again. So that's a whole middle-of-the-pack mentality that you're just kind of trying to get at something but can't seem to quite hold it.
Right. It's not necessarily to say that we're going to see a gameplay resurgence, but more of a record and standing resurgence. Because if we remember, CLG is playing Phoenix One today, the last place team. Their final game for the first half of the split is against Energy, the 9th place team, right? So their last 2 games are the easiest 2 teams. You would expect that they finish 4-5. That's not as bad of a record as the 2-5 that they're at right now kind of projects for them. So they've had the toughest schedule of any team up to this point.
Right. I think a couple of teams have had disappointing performances in the first half of this split, and I think when you head into that midpoint, if you're close to 500, given having a really disappointing first couple weeks, that's an okay spot to be in. Not ideal.
Not ideal, but
you know, given that you were like a couple of these teams were 1-3 at points, that this is okay.
Right, yeah, exactly. Then you move into the second half of the split saying we must improve, but we don't
We
have
need to
make
beat
up,
top teams now.
Right, we don't have to make up as much ground as many people may have thought we would. Now it's time to get a look at the most current standings. In first place is the still undefeated TSM. Immortals has sole possession of second place, with Cloud9 and Team Envy sharing third. Liquid leads the middle of the pack teams Apex, Energy, and CLG, with Echo Fox and Phoenix One rounding out the league. Let's take a look at what's in store for us today. NALCS 1 kicks off in the Battle Arena with Cloud9 versus Energy, followed by Phoenix One and CLG later in the day. And on NALCS 2, Apex takes on Echo Fox right after our match of the week, with Team Envy going head-to-head with undefeated TSM. Again, let's touch on this matchup specifically, Envy versus TSM. TSM still undefeated. You mentioned already, you think head and shoulders above the rest in terms of that top 4 squads. How do we think Envy matches up against them?
So I think that I want to touch on the meta point that I made earlier with the match that TSM had against Fox and Envy with Cloud9. And both of these teams struggled against the Cassiopeias and the Shens. So I think that when they meet head on, they most likely aren't very rehearsed at these champions, so they'll revert to a more of the standard things that they were playing last week. So I think that this match, while they struggled a little bit yesterday, it will be a much closer than what you would think normally by the results from yesterday. So I kind of think that this will end up going to 3 games.
I'm probably looking more for a 2-0 out of TSM.
Really?
I think, Envy, they came out of nowhere to really grab a top spot in the league. And once they came up to this rough part of their schedule, it wasn't like we expected them to win, but we want to see just how good they are. And I think we've seen that they are kind of just one step below the TSMs, IMT, C9s. And, you know, that's an okay place to be in. And with that in mind, I think that they're going to lose, you know, pretty quickly to TSM.
All right, well, maybe they'll prove you wrong.
Hey,
Who knows?
better games, I'm down for it.
Exactly. I would love to see 3 games out of these 2 teams. Well, if you see an amazing steal, crazy outplay, or epic team fight, be sure to tweet at LOL Esports with the hashtag LCSBigPlays, and we'll select some of your submissions to cover later in the show. And we got some great submissions yesterday. This one from Cecil Hoshino wrote, "What Pobelter did to Liquid 15 minutes into the first game was the biggest of LCS big plays." Take a look.
I can go. You keep going. We can win this. We can win this.
This is real. I got him. Nice.
Here's Pobelter. Huge ulti back in. Scoops them all in. And Immortals just going to run rampant in this team fight. Phoenix blows up and Belter goes off.
My favorite part is, I don't even know who it is, but whoever's saying, "This is real."
Yeah,
during that
yeah,
clip,
it's
just like, this is
it's
a real
a little
thing.
unbelievable.
I thought he said Jesus is real. I was like, yeah, I can see
It's
that's
just like,
a
it's just
zero-wet
very
dream.
calmly like, this is real. This is happening.
The funniest thing is it's a 6-man ult because Phoenix's clone
His
pop.
clone
Yeah,
pop.
so there's 2 LeBlancs getting shoved back. Like,
It's just
is it possible to have a
Yeah.
better ult? You need more like a Shaco in there, get like 8-man, 7-man ults.
That was a beautiful play. Definitely catapulted them to a victory there. Now we have one more, this time from the C9 versus Team Envy series, where Leviathan D3 tweeted, "Sneaky pentakill. If that's not an LCS big plays, I don't know what is." Well, me neither. So let's check it out.
They have the damage. Vitos repels into the air. Impact left alone. A kill coming through for Sneaky. Make that 2. He's keeping his team alive. A quad kill for Sneaky. The pentakill to save the game. Huge lead for Cloud9.
Damage.
All dead.
Penta. Got it.
See, what I love about that one is the fact that it proves the theory that you should not hit tanks wrong. Just hit whoever is closest. And he does just that. This guy's closer, kill the closest guys, then move on to the people that are actually
As an
threat
AD
later
carry,
on.
that is
Yes,
exactly
just
what you should
hit
do.
what you can hit for free.
My favorite thing about any Sneaky highlight is he says like one word at the end of it. The rest
Right?
of his team will say some stuff and he'll just be like, same, or
Yeah,
agreed.
emotion never changes. It's just so
Got
even
it.
keel.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, whatever. Pentakill. Put another one for the books. Anyway, we're all eager to get into the game, so it's time to send it over to the casters to get it all started.
Thank you, Dad.